let's begin in Cleveland because I went to that one.
I heard.
Yeah, everyone heard because I'm still yelling in my head. I kind of went overboard.
No way.
Let's talk about the game first because it's not about me. First and foremost, the Browns have the best defense in football.
Ooh.
Period. Full stop.
Ooh.
They have given up 1,000 yards. 5 games. Think about that. 1,002 yards. You want the full stat? We'll give you the stat. 1,002 yards allowed by the Cleveland Browns is the third fewest through a team's 5 games since the merger in 1970. Okay, there were 2 that were better, Andrew, right? Like the 2000 Ravens, I'm sure. Nope. The only 2 teams that allowed fewer yards through 5 games since the merger were teams in the early 70s when it was an entirely different game. When it was a ground and pound and a 17-13 game every single week. The 71 Colts and the 70 Vikings were the only teams to allow fewer yards through 5 games. Myles Garrett's on the screen right now. He didn't have a quarterback sack yesterday. He still affected the game. What a battle he had with the future Hall of Famer Trent Williams. And these 2 teams battled. I mean, there was a fight on the field before the game. Yeah. Trent Williams leveled Elijah Moore. There was a lot of talking. These 2 teams had to be separated. Myles Garrett was asked before the game, Friday, when he makes his weekly podium appearance in the locker room for the Cleveland media, is this like a heavyweight fight? Is it Ali Frazier? Somebody said. Or maybe it's Hagler Hearns, he said. And if you go back and look up Hagler Hearns, those 3 rounds there that they pummeled each other, some people say the best pound for pound 3 rounds we have ever seen. And that Niner defense is damn good as well. But that Browns defense, I'll take it any day, anywhere. Okay, Niner fan, I know you're saying, well, McCaffrey got knocked out and Debo got knocked out. Yeah, I see you. I totally see you. But the Browns have given up basically half of the third down. Let me rephrase this. In terms of total first downs allowed, the Browns are 1. I think the Bucs are 2. The Bucs have given up like double the number of first downs the Browns have given up. That's how good statistically their defense is. They played a lot of man yesterday, and they have the corners to play the man. Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, MJ Emerson, who picked off Brock Purdy, first pick of the year for Brock Purdy. He was shook. They had 9 yards on 6 plays in the third quarter. 9 yards for the 49ers on 6 plays. Yet still it came down to, in the most penalized game of the NFL this year, 25 penalties in that game. Deshaun Watson might have trouble throwing. That crew did not have trouble throwing flags. Not at all. 25 penalties, and it still came down to the Jake Moody miss. Do we have the miss? Do you want to play it?
Yes. I don't know if we have it. I want to hear it again, though.
Okay. Hoskins, do we have it?
They played it on Sunday Night Football.
Okay. Hoskins is working on it. Thank you for not having it ready. I know, I really do mean that, because I've heard it a lot. It is mildly embarrassing that I lost it like I lost it. But here's the quick backstory. Many of you probably know that I am a Browns fan. I'm not from there. I'm born and raised in the D.C. suburbs, Northern Virginia. My father is from Cleveland. All that side of the family is in Cleveland. And my brother and I were raised to be diehard Browns fans. Obviously, I work in this business. I like to call games. I've wanted to call games since I was a little kid. I do more of the talking now on the shows and the hosting more than I really call games. But I always dabble on the side. And I hate the circumstances. The great Jim Donovan, the iconic Jim Donovan, the voice of the Browns, is fighting the good fight now. Battling cancer, battling leukemia. And he's going to be out for a little bit. He hasn't called a game since week 1. And the Browns have turned to, the Browns fans that they know in the media to help fill in. Chris Rose, my colleague, a Cleveland native, called a bunch of games. But with Rich in London and Chris doing game day morning, game day kickoff at the network, I stepped in and did the game yesterday, something that I've been thinking of doing since I was honestly 10 years old. because whenever I would go to a Browns game, I would have my Sony Walkman on. Remember those big clunky Sony Walkman? I thought I was really cool because I had the one that had the equalizer. What do you call those things?
Yes, EQ.
Right, the EQ things,
Yes.
so I could control the bass on my Sony Walkman. And let me tell you, I bamboozled Circuit City. As like a 10-year-old, I figured out how you buy the protection plan, and then I would break my Walkman because I always would, because I would take it everywhere, listening to games wherever I go, and then I would go in and get a new one, and then a new one, and then a new one. I think I paid for one Walkman as a kid with money I got from mowing lawns, and I probably got 4 over a whole bunch of years from Circuit City. But I would take that to the games, and I would listen, to the great Nev Chandler, and I had a chance to call the game yesterday, and pretty cool. It was the best weekend. It was an amazing moment, and I'm a Sunday morning optimist. Always have been when it comes to the Browns. For years, whenever going into the Red Zone channel on Sundays, I call my mom and dad on the way into work. Done this for years. That's kind of like our weekly catch up, and often it's, I think they got a shot today. Yeah, I'm feeling good about today. Sure. And very often my dad, who's probably watching right now, he knows this. He tends to lean a little bit more towards the pessimism on Sunday morning. And sometimes we push back and forth on that a little bit. Sometimes he's optimistic. Sometimes he usually is. It depends, whatever. But I was a Sunday morning optimist all week because of that defense. I thought that defense would keep them in the game. I don't know that I thought they would necessarily win, but I can tell you, I was more optimistic than most. Definitely. But when they came away with only a field goal, Jerome Ford, 22-yard run, get in the red zone, then they mismanage it. P.J. Walker almost got picked in the end zone on second down. Good God almighty. And when they gave the Niners the ball back, and then there's a questionable DPI on third down, I got the jersey. I say let it go. Niners fans would say, Gibson didn't really go to the head on Elijah Moore. Yeah, but he launched. Either way, 25 penalties in that game, including one on a punt where they called it on number 20 on the Browns, who wasn't even on the field, when it was really number 20 on the Niners, and they actually marked it off. Marked it off. Called it on the wrong team and marked it off. And then after a while, they figured it out, and John Hussey corrected it. And then John Hussey, after correcting it, marching it back the other way, felt the need to put his mic back on and apologize to the crowd. He actually did. He went, we called it on the wrong team. It's been corrected, and turned it off. Turned it back on. My apologies.
Wow.
Like, he actually apologized to the crowd.
Never see that.
You never see that. Anyway, the Niners marched down the field. There was the DPI. There was the bunch of missed tackles on the big explosive. And then Jake Moody, who had not missed coming into the day the entire season, had missed one earlier in the first half. Jake Moody, 41 yards for the win.
41 yards for Jake Moody. Wisnowski kneels at the 31 to give the Niners the lead. Snap is down. The kick is up. The kick is no good! It's no good! And the Browns will beat the 49ers 19-17. He pushed it wide to the right.
That's amazing. I got goosebumps.
I don't think I needed the second no good, but
you did. Stop critiquing yourself. That was an awesome moment, bro.
It felt damn good.
I'm so happy for you. That is incredible.
Thank you.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.